there, nerds. Jimmy Palmquist here with another edition of Two Nerdy Dads. And as always with me, Jason Applegate. Say hey, Jason.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Now, Jason likes to play this game over the summer. Where in the world is Jason Applegate? Where are you, Jason?
I'm in Iowa. We like to spend our summers here. You know, get away from the hustle and bustle of Michigan, all those podcast fans harassing you everywhere we go. So get a little solitude, little rest and relaxation. So
now, if you've heard my jokes in the past, you know it's just a pleasure to get out of Michigan. It doesn't matter. Anytime you get out of Michigan, that's a holiday.
Unless you're going to that state out east. Starts with an O, ends with an O.
Oklahoma is east of me. You are absolutely correct, sir.
I think your geography and your spelling are off in both cases.
Only my geography-wise, Oklahoma is definitely east of me.
Well, Ohio has something to be happy about in professional sports. So congratulations. First world championship in how long? Like 100 years or something? Close to.
Almost. Let's say it hasn't happened in my lifetime, and I'm not a spring chicken. So it was so awesome. We were quite the celebrators. I don't even know how to say it because we literally didn't know what to do. Gave hugs to my family. I just happened to be, obviously I live in Vegas. I just happened to be back in Cleveland for the last two games. Gave hugs to my family. My wife and I and my sister and brother-in-law went up to Dick's Sporting Goods, and we got the championship shirts that night, waited in line with all the chaos. It was amazing. Amazing. Unfortunately, we missed the parade by a day. We had to fly back Tuesday, and the parade was on Wednesday. But we watched it on TV. That was pretty awesome.
Very cool that you were in town when that happened. Did you plan that, or it just was coincidental?
Well, no, it was very coincidental. Allison got inducted into the Medina County Hall of Fame for sports.
Awesome.
Very proud of her for that. And it just happened to be at the same time that the Cavs were going in, to be honest. We did not think there would be a game 6 and 7, so we didn't expect to see anything.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were not expecting it as well, but it was a good comeback. It was it's a good story. Just a good story overall.
Well, it's funny, Jason. I know you've felt the championship before, but this is the first time you and I have ever shared a year of champions.
That is true. That is really true.
My Cleveland Cavaliers are champions, so we both have something to celebrate.
There you go. That's right. Awesome. Very awesome. Very exciting. So cool. Well, let's get started. I think we should start with the craze that everybody's been talking about, Pokemon Go, which has been a huge hit everywhere. Tell me about your experience first, and then I'll give you a little bit of mine, and then we'll talk about it just kind of in general.
Well, to be honest, my son is a huge Pokemon fan, loves Pokemon. I do not know really anything about Pokemon, and to be flat out honest, and I know this is going to catch some flack, I don't like the cartoons. I think they drive me nuts. I've never played the video game, and I just don't understand the cards. Like, I play with James, and I'm pretty sure he's cheating, but I have no idea because I don't know how to play. So when the Pokemon Go first came out, I just happened to be in Chicago for a cousin's wedding, and I was like, okay, well, that's kind of cool. And I thought, well, maybe I should do it just because I know James is a big fan, and regionally this should be something different than what will be in Vegas. Whatever, I don't care. I'm not a Pokemon guy. But I got home, and James was already stoked about it, so we tried it. And, man, is this thing addictive. Like, going from my house to work. I don't do it in the car, but I just can't wait to see what's here at the house, what's down at UNLV. UNLV is a hotbed of Pokemon, let me tell you. And it's just a lot of fun. It's so stupid. The first time I tried, I'm sitting there trying to get the ball on the thing, and I'm like, don't understand what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm wasting a whole bunch of Pokeballs, and it was awful. And then, of course, James takes it, goes, here you go, Dad. Boop, got it first try, and I'm like, little punk. But, yeah, it's fun. It's fun to go down on campus where obviously James doesn't go and pick up a couple and then come back and show them the ones we got that day. It's pretty exciting. We're still learning. We're only about 2 days in, but it's pretty exciting. How about you, sir?
Well, my son is going into 7th grade, so he has his own smartphone this year. He got it, so we both have the app on our individual phones. And today he hatched a Pikachu, so we were both very excited about that. But yeah, same kind of thing.
Yeah,
I think
that's awesome.
yeah, yeah, it was pretty cool, and we both really enjoy it. Where we are now at the cabin, there are like no Pokestops like anywhere. So we have to actually, like, I went in town today because I had run out of Pokeballs. So I did get pizza too. It wasn't just for Pokemon, but we went into town, this small little town, Brooklyn, Iowa, and they literally have 3 Pokestops there and 1 gym. And so we went there and kind of loaded up on some things, but it's pretty scarce finding. And the only reason I know that, I would have thought that the game was really stupid because, you know, the same 3 or 4 Pokemon are showing up, you know, around where I'm staying. But we happen to go into Iowa City, Iowa, which is where the University of Iowa is. And it must be like what it's like at UNLV. I mean, there's Pokestops like on every corner. And then there are Pokemon like popping up, like boom, 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 boom. Literally in one day, we were there for like 3 or 4 hours. I probably collected more Pokemon in that one day than I did for the entire week that I've been playing total. So it's kind of interesting in that regard that I love the whole whatever is called the geo whatever, where you actually go places and, you know, find things. And the other thing that's been really cool about it is just how many people are playing it. Like, I'm sure you can relate to this too. We're walking around Iowa City and I'm just looking around and I'm like, they're playing it. Yep, those guys are playing it. You know, and then eventually you go up and start talking to some people as they're, you know, catching things, and I had somebody run up to me and, did you see where's the Squirtle? People are saying that Squirtle's around here somewhere. I'm like, oh, I caught him. He's like 2 blocks over that way. And they're like, oh, thanks. It's just kind of cool how it's, at first I thought it was just random, but like there are Pokemon at certain places. And if I have the app and I catch it there, and that person over there has the same app, they can go over there if they get there in time and catch the same Pokemon. So it's pretty cool in that regard. Whoever invented this, it's sort of a no-brainer genius move, you know, because it fits so well with what Pokemon is. And the reason that Pokemon caught on was just the idea of all the different animals and like collecting them and so forth. But to pair that with, you know, going about and walking around like you are Ash or whatever the characters are, and collecting them yourselves and then battling in gyms and everything, it was just a really, really smart move. Just thought it was great. It's just great fun. And the people that are playing it, at least the ones that I've met, are all really cool. And it's kind of neat that everybody's sort of doing this together. And honestly, it's been a sort of welcome distraction from this week. That's for sure.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'll be honest. I haven't, I've seen other people doing it, but I really haven't talked to anybody while doing it because I wasn't really sure what they were doing because I just started and I just see these people walking around. I'm like, what are they doing? I don't understand. And they're like watching their phone as they went, whereas I just happened to be in a spot, look, popped up, and then I did it. Like I wasn't chasing anything, so I didn't understand at first.
Right.
But I'm curious to see it, and I didn't understand a Pokestop either because like, we had one. I'm like, what is that? I don't know what that is. What? Okay, but then I see a whole bunch of people like congregating around it because it was in a park, and I'm like, okay, you guys are weird. Whatever. And when I found out what it was, they'd all left, and I'm like, okay, bring, cool. I got some Pokeballs. Nice.
Yeah, it's been quite the craze, and I know that when there are a lot of people like you that are sort of playing it and they're just like, I don't know what I'm doing, and then there's other people running around that like know everything. Like one of my students, like he could name all 172 or however many Pokemon that they have, and could tell you who evolves into what and all that stuff just off of memory. I mean, he could probably list them in, you know, numerically or alphabetically. So it's kind of funny to see the scheme of people that are interested in it and that are playing it. And I think also the generational thing. I mean, I think it's cool that, you know, you're playing it with James and I'm playing it with Cade. And it's not, I mean, aside from a few stories, I don't know if you've seen much out there, but it's pretty cooperative. Like people are sort of forming teams and communities and communicating over it, meeting each other. It's been this sort of kind of warm, open thing that's been kind of a neat experience in that regard for, you know, for an app, for a video game. I mean, it beats the heck out of like Flappy Bird.
Totally I really appreciate that, because when I first saw it and I was looking at the Facebook updates and everybody doing it, I was thinking it was a competitive thing. Like you had to get to that spot first to get that Pokemon. And if you weren't the one, then somebody else got it and you were out of luck, almost like geocaching. So when I found out, oh no, it's there and you can get it, somebody else can get it, a whole bunch of people can get it. There's no real competition, so you can sort of open up and be another community. I'm like, wow, that's really cool. I like that. Really cool idea, especially like you said, right now with some not happy things going on in the world. This is a cool thing to come out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, that's for sure. And it'll be interesting to see if the craze kind of keeps going, or if it kind of, you know, fades out or what. But I tell you, like, you know, there's the one gym in Brooklyn, and I went there, and it was like the top, you know, Pokemon that was there was like a CP of 500 or something like that, which is the power index of it. And then today I went back there and it's 1,000, you know, so it's pretty crazy. Some people are obviously taking this a lot more seriously than others, which, you know, that's going to happen with Pokemon. And of course there are ways that they'll get your money, because that's part of the app. You know, the app's free, but if you want to spend money to get more Pokeballs or whatever else, you can do that. And I'm sure some people who are like hardcore into it are, you know, spending the money to do it. But I think regardless, whether you're, you know, like the student that I know who could name them all, or whether you're like me and you know Poke or Pikachu and a couple of them, and then you make up ridiculous names for the rest of them. It's fun, and it's cool to get out and see things. I think that's the other thing that's cool about it, is that these different locations where the gyms are, where the Pokestops are, even where the Pokemon are like places, they're landmarks. They're things to like get out there and see and go visit. You know I saw a Facebook post about the Detroit Zoo. Come to the Detroit Zoo, and there's Pokemon, and businesses are cashing in on it. Like people are you know, saying, hey, my restaurant's a Pokestop, come on in, and you know, we'll give you 10% off if you're playing Pokemon Go and stuff like that. So I think it's pretty cool for everybody.
I agree. Completely agree.
All right, let's get to summer and the wonderful thing that is summer, especially for me since I'm a teacher, and the cool stuff that we've been able to do. You talked about your trip back to the old stomping grounds, and your wife's induction for soccer, right?
Yep.
Is the sport that she played, correct?
Correct.
What else have you been able to do this summer now that, you know, the kids are out of school?
Well, that was a week-long trip, and we got to do quite a bit in Ohio. And then we went and spent I went and spent a weekend in Chicago for my cousin's wedding, which is cool. I didn't realize until I was there that I've never really been in Chicago. I've driven through, and I've had one stop where we got out and ate and then got back in. I just didn't realize that I hadn't ever been to Chicago, because to me it was, I live in Cleveland, why go to Chicago? It's pretty much the same. So obviously it's not, but you get the same exact weather, but it was so close. Why go? But it was nice to go and see it and tour a little bit. And even though I'm not a big fan of Mr. Trump, his building was beautiful. It was just gorgeous. And some of the artwork in the parks there was beautiful. I did eat deep dish Chicago style pizza, which is a must. Had a Chicago dog, which was cool. Got to go. The Cubs weren't in town, but I got to see Wrigley Stadium, so that was pretty cool. But other than that, we've kind of kept it a low profile, going to the pool a lot and doing some cool activities in Vegas, because it gets really hot. Oh. How about you? Because I see your Facebook updates, and those are pretty awesome.
This summer's been pretty awesome. We've been wanting to go to Disney World for quite some time now, and finally we're able to do so this summer. So that was really cool. We got to spend 4 days at the different parks. We stayed on the resort, which that's what I recommend to anybody if you're planning a trip to go, is to actually stay at one of the Disney resorts. They have buses that take you to whatever park you want to go to that day. Plan it all out. We have somebody that's a friend of the family that came with us who goes to Disney at least once a year, sometimes 3-4 times a year. So she was like an expert on everything. So kind of helped us plan out where to go and what to get the fast passes for, which are like the speedy line where you just you clock in. They give you these wristbands. They're phenomenal. Like, it's how you get into your hotel room. It's how you get onto the rides. You can charge your this is smart because you can charge your food to it. You charge your souvenirs and everything onto this little thing, and it all adds to your bill. At the end when you're done and check out. And it's really convenient. They're waterproof, so you can take them swimming and everything. And it's just, they know what they're doing, for one thing. Like, when you go to Disney World, you see these people. There's no reason, there's no wonder that they're taking over the world, because their business plan is amazing. But it was a lot of fun. The kids and I there were days where I felt like I was the kid having a bunch of fun. We went to like a dinner, and they had the Disney characters there, and like, who cares, right? But like, I was all like, I want to meet them. It was just fun. But I have to tell you, you would love Hollywood Studios. I don't know if you've been to Disney World or not. Have you been before?
We went 3 years ago now, I think. It's been a while. It was 2 or 3 years ago.
So they had Star Tours there, of course. So you rode that ride, I'm sure.
I did, but I was too old for something.
You're not too old for anything in Disney World. Like, what is that? What does that even mean?
Contraire, mon frere. I was too old to start the training.
The Jedi training. Yes. That they really, that's one thing. Disney, if you were paying attention, which I know you are because you watch everything and you're trying to take over the world. But you need to have Jedi training for adults, because we would totally pay to do that. But your son got to do it then? Did James get to do it?
He did, yes.
Yeah, so did Cade. Cade was at the cutoff age at the age of 12.
That seems like a young cutoff age.
It is. But I kind of understand why. I mean, you don't like 13, 14-year-olds with like 5-year-olds.
Oh, that's true.
Swinging lightsabers around and stuff. But he loved it. It was a long day, so he was pretty tired by the time that we had gotten to it. But we were like the first in line to sign up, because I had heard it was a zoo.
Yeah.
And if you don't make it to get signed up, you don't do it. So we were there early, got signed up. But then we signed up for a later time frame so that we didn't miss any of our fast passes, or anything like that. But when he did get up there, he had fun. He got to fight, not Vader, but he would kill me that I don't know what it is. It's like the new thing. There are these like hunters that are. It was a woman that was in like a black mask, and she's like a
Rebels.
They're like. It might be from Rebels, yeah. They're hunting down Jedi.
Yeah, I don't know her name, but I know what you're talking about.
Like a dark sister or something like that. He would totally know what it was, and he'd be chiming in saying, "Dad." I know, right? But he had a good time, and he got to fight that dark sister or whatever she was, and it was pretty cool. It was cool to see the kids all get into it, and the way that they ran it was pretty neat. And of course, Star Tours was really cool. Like, it changes every time you do it. I don't think a single time it was the same as the time before. My favorite, of course, is when we actually hit Jar Jar with our ship. Like, he goes smack right into the windshield and like peels off the side. And I was dying laughing. The entire rest of the Star Tours is kind of looking back at me like, why is that so funny to you? I'm like, I'm sorry. You just ignore me.
See, that's funny, because when we were there, it just hit me. Lucasfilm was still owned by George Lucas. And obviously the new movie hadn't come out. So it was the prequels and the old movies, which is another funny story, because the first time I'd ever been to Star Tours, it was only the originals. There was no prequels yet, and it was
Right.
very old school. Well, nowadays it was old school. At the time, it was cutting edge motion animatronic stuff.
Right.
But it was amazing because that was like the only taste of Star Wars you could get because the books hadn't really come out. There was no TV shows or new movies at the time. So that's awesome that they've updated it like that.
Yeah, it was really, really cool. And of course, this summer was like the Force Awakens summer, and they had like everything from the new movie. They had this whole demonstration where the new stormtroopers all came out, and Captain Phasma, I think that's her name, comes out and like does this whole routine with, and I mean, they're like this. Like if you're in the front of the row, like they are right up, in front of your face as they march up and do their little routines and stuff. It was really, really, really cool. And then my favorite part was if you go to this other part, I can't remember what it's called. It's like it's another aspect of the Star Wars, and if you don't pay attention, you don't realize it's there because you think it's just like a little Star Wars museum, like they have cool props and stuff there, but you can meet the characters there. And so there's one line for Chewbacca where you can go and you meet Chewbacca, and then there was another line for Kylo Ren. I met Kylo Ren twice because the first time was so much fun that the second time I wanted to go back and like really get a good video of it, because the first time I was sort of taken aback by the experience because we hadn't done Chewbacca yet either. So we went in, and I mean, Kylo Ren, he was like right in my face. I mean, I could like see my breath like fogging up his lenses. Like that's how close he was, and just stuck to character. I was super impressed at how just sort of intimidating he was, and just how much of a big fat jerk he was. It was just too much fun. So then the second time I went through, I really made sure I was able to videotape the entire experience. And if you haven't seen it yet, you have to check it out, and I'll see if I can post it. Maybe you can post it on Nerd Locker if you want to. I'll send it to you. But it just was a lot of fun. He approaches my son and is like, "We're glad that you're considering joining." And I'm like, "Don't join." And he's like, he tells me to be quiet. He goes like this. I mean, he gets rocked in my face, and just had this whole interaction with me. At one point, he's like, "And for you, and you. Your last thought, you're welcome." And then I'm trying, of course, not to start laughing, because the first time Katie's like, "Dad, you embarrassed me. You're totally just cracking up the whole time." I'm like, okay, this time I will stay in character. I will try not to crack up. But it's so hard not to because he's so right in your face. So as awesome. We leave, we're exiting, and I'm like, "I still believe there's good in you, Ben. I know there is." And he totally like follows us out. Like, I mean, he didn't leave the room, but he's like following us that way, and he's, pointing at us and stuff. And it was just great that he continued the entire experience until we completely left the room and the door closed. And then he was on to the next people. And I just thought, and I noticed this with all of the actors there, and you know that I'm always a big fan of actors, is that they don't drop. Like, they really commit to their characters. And yeah, sometimes it's, you're like, oh, you're Alice, or you're Mary Poppins, or you're, whatever. Like, but like they stick with it, and they are that character the entire time that they are visible. And I found it pretty amazing that they can do that, and for hours upon hours, they're out there meeting and greeting people, and how tiring that must be. And I have to admit, I was super impressed by it. I really was, especially those that aren't in a fuzzy costume, where, like, I mean, Donald Duck, for all you know, could be totally making faces at you underneath his mask and is rolling his eyes or whatever. But those other characters where they don't have a big old fluffy costume, like that's some commitment, I think, by them. So I was impressed by that. That was what impressed me. Of course, the whole experience was like, I mean, I could talk for hours about how cool it was and how much fun we had and how memorable it all was. But that's just family stuff, and was definitely a parenting win as far as a vacation. But If you get a chance out there, nerdy dads, to go, my suggestion is do the resort thing. I felt that was the way to go, and 4 days was like the minimum I felt, because it gave us a day per park, and I really felt like I wanted maybe one more day just to kind of be able to do whatever we wanted to do, kind of a thing. Because I mean, we went from when the parks opened to when, I mean, some of them didn't close till 11, 12. One night it was 2, and we didn't stay that long. But I mean, we stayed there till, late, and closed it down, and then, went to bed and came back up. And it was fun, and it was worth it. But definitely it's a 4-day plus experience if you go to Disney World. And I mean, we didn't even do Universal Studios and all that other stuff that you could have done down while you're in Florida too. So a lot of fun. Definitely was a parenting win for the both of us.
Awesome.
So
awesome. Very awesome. Very jealous. I thought about it, and I really want to time it when they open the actual Star Wars park. And I know that's here, but that's what I really want. I don't care about the kids. They can come with me or not. That's what I'm going for.
When's the opening date? When's that projected for?
I don't know. I think it's 2017, but I don't know specifically.
That's awesome if it's that soon, because the thing with us, and part of why we waited as long as we did, was, of course, it's not cheap to go, but also we wanted both our kids to be at an age where I felt that they would appreciate it fully. And I think that they certainly are right now. I don't know if in 2 years my son, he'll be 14. I don't know if he'll appreciate it as much as he does at 12. But your kids are right. I think right at that prime age, right, where they would be able to do pretty much anything they wanted to do, height wise and all that jazz, and are still, really caught up by the magic of it. And the suspension of disbelief and all of that stuff that you still have when you're younger. So, but I mean, even when you're some of those rides, they were, I mean, it's not Cedar Point per se, but they're pretty intense rides, some of them.
Yeah, I remember. I think it's still there, Space Mountain, and that got me pretty good.
Yeah, Space Mountain's great. My daughter loves Space. The other thing I found out is my daughter, and this doesn't really surprise me, is the thrill seeker. She likes all the fast rides. And my son does not. Like, he doesn't have the stomach for it, is really what, like, physically it makes him ill to go on the fast rides and stuff. So I think Star Tours and Pirates of the Caribbean were like his speed, which is great. Those are still awesome rides.
Yeah, I'd be hanging out with Cade. I don't like rides. I've been on them, I've done it, but I'm not a fan. I'm an old man.
Not even senior. What about our senior year when we went to Cedar Point? Weren't you on all those roller coasters with the rest of us, or was that
yes,
threshold?
I was stuck in that time when Jimmy gave into peer pressure, especially peer pressure from his friend Jason, and rode all those awful rides.
Yeah, I was such a bad influence on you.
Awful.
And so, so far the summer's sounds like it's been pretty awesome for both of us.
Yeah, let's see. I go to Ohio. Jason goes to Disney World. They're about even, dude. About even. Yeah. I'm giving you a hard time.
No, I get it. No, that's cool. But really, seriously, it's all about spending time with your family, getting to do stuff that you can't do during the school year because the kids have school. And so it's been really cool. I know after Disney World, we got to go to New Orleans, which I never would have gone to, except for that we were down in that part of the country. And that was really cool too. Just was a cool city, great experience. Kids learned a lot about a different part of the country. We got to see alligators, things like that. It was pretty sweet. And it's just been, it's all about memory making over the summer and having that family time, which is important.
Definitely getting those experiences, because that's what they'll remember. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. So, speaking of experiences, Batman versus Superman, the extended version came out. I was debating whether or not I wanted to get it on digital. And because I didn't like the movie, the theatrical release, too much. But then I read that it was so much better. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get it. Well, at the cabin we have, I don't know, it's DSL or whatever. It's like super slow internet. Like I started to try to play the movie at about like 4 o'clock in the evening. And I think I started it at about 9. It took like 5 hours to download the thing.
Wow.
And then even at the end, it was like,
now anyway.
it was the extended version. But I did like it better. I think it was a lot of the stuff that I briefly read. I didn't want to read a ton of details. Was right on the money in that it was a better version of the film. You didn't see the theatrical release and only saw the extended cut. So I'm kind of interested to hear what you have to say, just coming from it fresh without the comparison. Because, of course, I'm going to think it's a lot better because it was better than what I had seen before. But you hadn't seen anything. What did you think?
Well, that's the funny part. One of the reasons why we didn't see it in the theater was because just all the negative press. And I did not like any of the trailers. I'm like, I'm not wasting my money for babysitter and all that to go see the movie. But then when it came out, okay, $20, I'll buy the extended version because it was the same price as the regular version. Why would I buy the regular version when I can get more for my money? So I bought the extended version. And it was funny because I talked with my wife. She had no interest in this movie whatsoever. So it just happened to be I was going to be on a plane for 4.5 hours all by myself. Perfect. Let's watch this. And to be honest, it wasn't as bad as I expected. I thought there were some great scenes that were put together. I couldn't, and it was funny because later on I talked to my buddy who saw the regular cut, and in this weird blind leading the blind, we were trying to figure out what scenes were added. And it was funny because I'm going through listing things that I thought were sort of not necessarily gratuitous, but just unnecessary. Like, well, was this added? He goes, no, I saw that. I'm like, really? Why would this be in the film? So then eventually I had to go to a Collider and check it out, what the differences were. And I was floored. Like, they go and explain a little better at the beginning that is actually Jimmy Olsen and the photographer. And they give a little more detail into Superman as being set up. And I'm like, well, how could you not have that? That's like a key point in the whole film. Why would you cut that out? That makes no sense to me, especially when they showed us the gun shooting Martha with the pearls on it about 1 million times. I don't understand why you couldn't cut some of those out and put these in the regular cut. So it was things like that that really had me floored that they added, what was another one? Batman breaking into Lex Luthor's facility to steal the kryptonite. I read that wasn't in the regular cut. I'm like, how is that possible? Because all of a sudden at the end, Batman just shows up with a spear that's made of kryptonite. Where'd he get the kryptonite? Why? How could they not explain that he broke into Lex Luthor's facility to get it? I was floored at some of these things. It made no sense. And maybe I misread what Collider had, but when they described it, I was like, that doesn't make much sense. I can see why a film without these things wouldn't be good. Yet a film with some of this other stuff that I thought was extra, if that's included in the regular cut, would just not be good. And the other one that was a big one that I didn't understand how they couldn't include it. I don't remember his name, but the dude in the wheelchair who was very angry at Superman and also angry at Bruce Wayne. And it looked like he was going to become an advocate for basically stopping these guys. And he goes in front of the congressional hearing and then blows it up. And you're like, okay, so he must have been just willing to die, human sacrifice for his cause. But in the extended cut, they show Lois Lane goes to his apartment and sees the new groceries, and clearly he wasn't meant to die. Lex Luthor just used him as a pawn and killed him. But that wasn't in the regular scene from what I understand, so everybody's just thinking, oh, he was just a suicide bomber. And it's like, that's a big piece of information. It really gives more character to who and how evil Lex Luthor is. Now, this part, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just going to say, whoever edited this film for theatrical release should never work in Hollywood again. because it was exactly what you're saying. It was all like they killed the story. Not that it was, you know, Citizen Kane or anything, but I mean, they killed the story, cut that stuff out for the length, right? I mean, yes, nobody would go see Batman versus Superman as a 3-hour, 20-minute long movie. I get that. But when you cut stuff, you don't cut story. Cut some of the action sequences. Cut what you're talking about.
That whole futuristic part where Superman catches Batman and traps him, and it's like, what did that have to do with the movie at all?
Yes, the alternate universe stuff. Cut that out and put that in the extended version for the fanboys and stuff. Don't leave that stuff in. Don't leave the dream in with the bat. You know, they were visually stunning scenes, which Snyder is really good at being visually stunning. But whoever edited this cut all the story out. Like the whole Clark Kent, you know, investigating Batman storyline was not even in the theatrical release. It was talked about and hinted at, but you didn't lay the groundwork of two things. One, just how much Lex was the mastermind behind everything. Because like you're saying, he does, you know, he uses the bomber, he does, you know, the crippled guy. But he also, if you know, pay attention in the extended version, he's the one behind the people getting killed in prison that have been marked by the Batman, and is, you know, paying people to do that. And that's what gets Clark to go after Superman. And it makes you realize that Lex knows that Superman is Clark Kent, like, way ahead of time. And it's just, I hated Lex Luthor in the movie. I'm not sure if I dislike it, if I hate him in the extended version. He didn't bother me as much because I think you saw all of that sort of Machiavellian type of stuff going on that was much more the Lex Luthor you and I know, and he wasn't just some unhinged weirdo, which was, you know, still in there, but it made him more of a villain that I think we readily recognized as Lex Luthor. And you know, the visually stunning stuff was still cool and was fun to watch. The alternate universe stuff was pretty cool, and neat. And I think we talked about this before. I think when Justice League comes out, we'll go, oh, that's why that's in there. Okay, that's kind of cool. Still don't know if it was a good decision to put it all in there, because right now it's just sort of like, what the hell's going on? But yeah. Stop cutting story. When are people going to realize that story is important? I don't get it.
Did it. That was the most frustrating part, because I thought Ben Affleck did great. I had no problems with him. Jeremy Irons is not Michael Caine, but that's okay because his character was different and he's more complicit in with what Batman's doing versus always trying to get him to stop. Lois Lane was still fantastic. I like Henry Cavill as Clark Kent Superman. I know some people weren't big fans of Man of Steel. I do like him. I dig it. Lawrence Fishburne as Perry White. I loved it. I thought that was great. And
yeah, he's great.
If they did cut out or did not include the investigative stuff of Batman, that cuts out a lot of Perry White's scenes, I would think, because he's constantly telling Clark, stop investigating this. You shouldn't be doing this. You should be doing the fluffy sports stuff. And it was like, right. That's great.
Well, they were in there, but they just had no gravity to them. They were sort of like, what? But he's not. Like, he's not really doing anything. Like, I guess maybe off camera he is, but
we're not showing up to the office and getting yelled at for nothing. That's dumb.
Yeah, wow. It really was. And you were just sort of going, okay, well, this whole, like, Batman versus Superman things, I mean, it's contrived anyway, right? I mean, what book? I mean, you and I both know. Batman versus Spider-Man, Batman Spawn, Batman whatever, you know, these matchup books that they have, there's going to be a contrived way in which these two, like, fight each other at first, and then they join forces and fight the real bad guy. That's what this movie did. Okay, I can buy that. I'm used to that trope and that little trick or whatever. But when, you know, with the theatrical release, they did such a poor job at even that, that it was just frustrating.
And I am still confused at when this takes place in the universe because several times there's references to the Joker. Several
Yeah.
times. And I got the sense that it's more than one fight between Batman and Joker. That was just my guess. I'm also guessing that he took on some other crazies too. But how can Metropolis not know of Batman? They're clearly across from each other, and it bugged me that this is the first time Superman is hearing of Batman. I don't get that if he's been in business for a while. And another reason why I'm saying he's been in business a while, we're getting an older Batman. We're getting a Dark Knight Returns almost Batman, specifically with the violence he's committing against the bad guys. So how can it be that nobody knows about him outside of Gotham?
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure how this works on a timeline.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I'm not sure they know either. I think I suspended my disbelief a little bit more there because Batman and the Dark Knight has always been built. The storyline is like a mythos, as that he's a folk tale. What's the other word? An urban myth. That it's not. He doesn't really exist. That kind of a thing. And so then it's sort of localized just there, and people know about it, but they don't really believe that it's an actual thing. Kind of like alligators in the sewer in New York, kind of a deal. And so I kind of suspended my disbelief a little bit there. But it is interesting, and I'll be interested to see how Suicide Squad plays into it too, because of course the Joker's in that. And we've seen Batman makes a cameo at the very least. Of course, we know Harley Quinn's in it. And we know that the Joker has killed a Robin, because if they're part of the same universe, in the extended version, you saw it briefly in the theatrical version, but you really get a good look at the Robin suit and the spray paint on it. Joke's on you or something like that. And then it's been since then, even people involved with the movie, maybe Snyder himself, has said, yeah, that's Jason Todd. That's the Jason Todd Robin's costume. So that there's a history there. Batman references Arkham Asylum and that he still knows people there, that some of his baddies are still locked up there. So there's that whole aspect of it too. So it'll be interesting to see how that kind of melds together and whether or not Suicide Squad really, plugs into that, or is it because DC doesn't really seem to be too terribly interested, at least not as much as Marvel is, at having continuity through all their mediums. Because Marvel even links their television shows to their film mediums.
And we know Warner Brothers isn't doing that with the TV show at all.
No, the Flash isn't the Flash from the TV series, which I think is kind of a bummer, because I think fans would really dig that and would really, buy into it. And I don't see what harm it would do to go for something like that. But hey,
I guess that's where I'm also confused, and I'm going to have to take your position and just suspend disbelief, because so we're getting an older Batman putting together the Justice League. It's like, that's weird to me, because I can go along with your it's a myth, urban legend. I get that, but there's no getting around. Well, he's just discovering these other metahumans, so he's going to be an old dude putting together this Justice League. That's weird to me.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, I guess we'll just see how it plays out. I mean, I don't think Affleck's version is quite as old as Dark Knight version. I mean, in Dark Knight, not the movie, but Dark Knight Returns, the Frank Miller graphic novel, he's probably in his 50s. I mean, he's
really old. He comes out of retirement. But it was more, I got the sense that they were alluding to that more in sort of the grayish, but the brutality that Batman was having with he was branding people. That's where I was saying more Dark Knight Returns.
Well, yeah, and honestly, he kills people in this movie. Like, there's no way that people survive. And it's sort of, that was the first joke that I made about it was, well, apparently Batman doesn't believe in guns unless they're on his Batwing or his Batmobile. Because then, he's all about shooting people up. As long as it's on a vehicle of some kind, he'll use them. But, because
people left and right in the dream sequence.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question people die in those sequences where he's blowing stuff up, and it's just like, I mean, we don't see them like lying there on the floor or anything, but like, duh. So I don't know. He is a more brutal kind of Batman. I do think that there were references to, to the Dark Knight Returns and Frank Miller's style of Batman.
I will say,
But,
most disappointing, and this is going to be most disappointing because it's leading into the Justice League, and you know my feelings on this. At the end, and I don't know if this was in the extended or the regular version or not, Jesse Eisenberg is back on the Kryptonian ship when the
oh no, that part's not.
And he's talking to Steppenwolf.
I don't know. I was trying to figure that out. Is that Magog? Who is it? Oh, is that who that is? Steppenwolf.
Did you know I hate the new gods? I hate Darkseid.
I know you do. I kept looking for Darkseid or somebody, and I didn't realize that that's who it was Steppenwolf, because I don't know all of the new gods, very well. Like I did recognize the Omega symbol in the alternate universe version and the parademons coming in, but I didn't realize that that's who that was Steppenwolf, because I kept expecting to see Darkseid, and I saw this guy with the horns, and I was like, who is that? And the first person I thought of was from Kingdom Come was Magog, who has the big horns, the ram's horns. And so I was like, why is he in this? Like, is Snyder just trying to pull from every possible awesome Justice League story ever and just like mix them all together? But Steppenwolf makes a lot more sense, at least. I'll have to watch it again now. That was also part of when it was like dragging and it was that little thing was spinning.
The movie's over. Why are we still going? And we still have like half an hour left.
Yes. I do have to say, though, too, to throw this in, and maybe this is where we wrap up BVS, is watch some of the extended clips. Particularly, I enjoyed the one on Wonder Woman. It really gave a nice little history of Wonder Woman, which I thought was cool. And talked about her as a feminist superhero, which I thought was interesting. As you know, I'm all into that kind of stuff. But it also showed some cool clips from the Wonder Woman movie that'll be coming out that I don't think I'd never seen anywhere else. And thought that was pretty cool. But they also talked about how, like, when Gal Gadot comes out the first time with her Wonder Woman garb on, how emotional that was for some of the people that were involved with the film. And I thought that was really pretty cool, because I think it did get lost in the whole thing because the movie was just so bad. And like, Wonder Woman was cool, but and she really was. And I thought they did a really good job of portraying her as a very likable kind of character. And I'm really excited about her movie.
When she was fighting not Doomsday, I thought that was really cool. I really did.
Yeah.
And that
giant
was
shellless Ninja Turtle. Yeah, that giant shellless Ninja Turtle. And
exactly.
It was.
And I like how mid-fight he like evolves, and that's where the bone spurs come out. It's like,
right?
Give up. This thing is so stupid.
Just see, this is where you and I should be right next to whoever's directing whatever it is that we love, so that we can say, no, don't do that. That's just stupid. Just when he comes out of this, okay, you want to create Doomsday as this like hybrid, Zod, Lex Luthor guy, fine. I can live with that. But when he comes out of that little shell, just have the bones and everything already. Make him look like the Doomsday we all know, so there's no question. He comes out of there like, holy crap, that's Doomsday. That's awesome. What would have been wrong with that?
Well, and that's what kills me. In the book itself, he's like stuck in a bag and he's fighting his way out of the bag. And so like most of the fight with Superman, he's like got a bag on his head and you don't really see him. And it's like, you could have done the exact same thing, but you didn't. You just went stupid. And it really, I know this was the joke, but it looks like Abomination from the Hulk. It does not look like Doomsday.
Yeah. Even when he gets the bone structure stuff, it's still not Doomsday. And it was like, Doomsday, I mean, is he 90s? Yeah, sure, he is. But he looks cool. And some of the more recent incarnations where they've redrawn him a little bit, he's still just a pretty cool looking, and he's just a mindless, beat 'em up guy that's super powerful. Okay, let's see it. Do it.
Would have worked. But they have right way. You know what? It's like Dr. Doom in the most recent iteration of Fantastic Four. It's like, wait, okay, when's he going to get the medal? When's he going to get the medal? When's he going to, wait, you're going to stay with that? Oh, come on. Felt the same exact way. I'm like, that's your Doomsday?
Yeah. Oh, I can't believe you brought up Doctor Doom too. And it's like, I mean, talk about one of the epic villains. Like, I mean, without Doctor Doom, there's no Darth Vader. Like, they're like, he is like their derivative. I mean, his look is just, it's just classic. And how can you just like, why would you mess that up?
Well, you brought up the '90s. It's like they wanted to make that Fantastic Four a '90s movie. That was their goal. They're like, we're going to make this retro to feel '90s. That's what I felt the whole time I watched that movie. And once again, it's like, hey, why don't you guys throw in a story there? But awful, just awful.
Yep. Yep.
Mhm.
Oh, now I'm depressed. No, but I think overall, if I gave Batman vs Superman a score, it'd probably be 2 nerd skulls out of 5. Extended maybe 3.5. I think visually, I think it's very stunning. The sequence where the gun explodes the pearls and they all go flying. I thought it was beautiful. It was a gorgeous scene, and we've seen that scene recreated at least 3 times.
Yep.
But it was really a unique way to do it, and I really enjoyed it. And there were other scenes that were really visually stunning as well. But yeah, still not a really strong movie. Hopefully, Justice League will be better. I don't know. I have my doubts about Aquaman.
They took a lot of power away from Zack Snyder, and it's not that he's not a good filmmaker. He is. He's just not a good filmmaker, producer, writer, and all those other things they gave him to make that movie. So I'm hoping they can go back to more of a Man of Steel, but even more so like a Watchmen, or I thought his best was Dawn of the Dead, which is obviously a different kind of film. But they just need to rein him in. That's it. And I feel bad because I don't want him to think, oh, I suck. No, you just suck at some of these things. Do what you're good at.
It's just, yeah, I mean, it's too many hats. I mean, you need to have a good team behind you, and you can't do everything, as even just directing high school productions, I've realized that like, you can't do everything well. Even if you can do them all well, you can't do everything well at the same time. Like, I can do this really well, and I can do this really well, I can do this really well, but I can't do all 3 of them really well at the same time for the same show because you just don't have it. There's not enough time. You don't have enough energy. It's just there's not enough, ways to be able to get all that stuff done unless you have somebody else who's taking over some aspect of that to help you out. And I think that's exactly what you're talking about.
Completely agree.
So what else is out there? Any other like intriguing news that has sort of, come across the I mean, it's been a long time since we've been on, so I know there's been stuff, but anything that really jumps out at you as something that's been, I mean, we've had the Captain America Hydra thing, which I don't know if we've talked about that yet. Any of the other like comic books in print, Rebirth has all happened. Any opinions on that? And then maybe that's how we wrap up today.
I don't really have anything specific. I've read Rebirth. I'm getting confused with their numbering because it's like DC Universe presents Rebirth, and then there seemed to be like a Rebirth 0 for each character. And I don't know if it was called 0. It just felt that's what it was. Yeah. And then I've only read 1 and 2 for Aquaman. I don't know why I'm a sucker for Aquaman. I am. But it doesn't seem like Rebirth did anything unless you're the Flash. And maybe I'm just totally misreading it, but I don't see a difference in stories of anybody except for the Flash storyline. Now, I've not read them all. I can't say I've read every single one of them. I'm just going off the ones I've read.
Well, I think, and I have them, but I haven't read them all yet. But I think that the basic concept is all of the New 52 were rebooting it all and basically pretending that most of it didn't happen. And it was all like, not a dream, but it was like this alternate thing that happened. Now we've gone back and fixed it. And I think they use Dr. Manhattan to do it, to like reboot it all and fix it and set it right.
Happen, or is it in progress? Because it seems like with Aquaman, he references Orm, and maybe I'm just assuming he's talking about the Throne of Atlantis storyline where Orm tried to take over the throne and basically attacked land. And I get the sense he's referencing that, but maybe he's just referencing Orm in general being his brother and a pain in the butt. But they bring back, good in a smart way. They brought Black Manta to start off the series, and they give backstory on Black Manta. And again, I'm reading it as, oh, Black Manta's back from New 52, but maybe it's just Black Manta's back as he always has been.
Yeah, the Superman one I'm not following either because I didn't really follow the New 52 Superman that much, but I read the first issue of that, and it's like one of the Supermen is dead. Clark Kent, I think, is dead.
Oh, yeah, I read that. He's the New 52 Superman's dead, but somehow the original, like, Action Comic Superman came over to the New 52 universe.
Yeah, something. And he's got a son.
And he was going to stay underground and not make it noticed, except for Lex Luthor, like, rose up to create his super soldier guys. Sorry, I don't know if I could say that because that's, Marvel. But his super soldier police force. And then that original Superman decided he had to come out of hiding. I don't know.
Yeah.
I did read that first book, and I was like, I don't know what's going on because I didn't know he died.
Yeah, I didn't know any of that stuff either. So I'm kind of lost and confused right now. But maybe we'll table that for the next time, and I'll get a chance to kind of catch up and piecemeal it, together a little bit. But the one thing that I do like about it is that Action Comics and Detective Comics picked up their numbers where they left off before New 52. And I was like, yes, we're going to get a Detective Comics 1000. And I'm like stupidly excited about that. But
no way, dude,
other than that,
shocked they reset it for New 52. Because I'm like, you guys are like, I don't know. Yeah, they're not that close. They're like, what, 5-6 years away or something? But still. That's 1,000. Why would you give that up? And they wasted, in my opinion, the stories were good, but the numbering, they wasted 4 years of numbering with the New 52. It's like, we could be there, almost be there. Way to go, guys.
Right. Yeah, I don't know either. It's too hard to keep track of, but a couple of books that that I've enjoyed that are new ones that are out that are not Marvel or DC is and I don't remember the publisher. It's an independent one, and it's called The Revisionist. And the first issue is the only one that's out right now, I believe. And it's a guy who kind of goes back he travels through time to like fix things. And so it's written by the guy who did Five Ghosts. I don't know if you read that one. It was an Image storyline that had this sort of pulp kind of adventure story feel to it. He was this character who could channel 5 ghosts that were these like literary ghosts, like one was Merlin, another one was Sherlock Holmes and stuff like that. And then he had to like, go on these adventures, and he was trying to find his sister who was lost magically somewhere, and he had to find her. It was a cool storyline. Really liked the writer. I think it's Frank Barbary, I think is his name. But he's got this new one out, The Revisionist, and I really liked that one. That might be something worth checking out. I just asked for my pull list to pull the Flintstones because I heard it was a real cool satire, which I thought was great to kind of do. So I'm looking forward to reading that. But the one that I got back issues on that I was really excited about is Rat Queens. And I finally got all of the issues, and I've caught up, and they haven't printed any in a while because of some unfortunate circumstances with one of their either writers or no, I think it was one of their artists. But the stories are great. It's a fun little fantasy storyline that's pretty cool that I really recommend. And if you're kind of looking for something new, get on that. You can get the graphic paperbacks and get some of the back issues and catch up before probably they start printing them again. But it's definitely worth it. Anything else that you've been reading that's been worthwhile?
No, I haven't really picked up anything in a while, other than trying to catch up with some of the Rebirth stuff. I think I finished Huck. Huck was by Mark Miller over at Image.
Yeah.
and it was really intriguing because it started unlike a Mark Miller book, and like it was nice and sweet, and sort of like 1938's Superman, like
Yeah,
that era, and it was cool. And then it got a little more Mark Miller, but it still was not
not as usual.
bloody or anything.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that one. I've lost track a little bit with that, and I got to catch up on some Valiant stuff because I know they were relaunching Archer and Armstrong, which I'm a big fan of. I wanted to read that, but I got to catch up on that. And I did read Faith, a couple issues of Faith. They're
How was it?
oversized superhero female.
Yeah.
To be honest, I dug her when she was in the why is it escaping me? Their superhero team. She filled in on the Valiant team for a little bit, but then when she went on her own in that first couple books, I was like, it's not as good. Like they're focusing on her being overweight and making that a thing, and I'm like, why? Why does it have to be anything? Just tell
Right.
a story.
Make it not a thing, and that's where the story. Yeah.
Exactly. So I liked her when she was on the superhero team, but solo, I only read the first 2 issues, so maybe it got a lot better, but I didn't like the first 2.
Oh, that's a bummer. Yeah, because that was one I always thought about maybe picking up because it was, intriguing and different. So I still may check that out. I'll have to see. Yeah. Movies. I saw Tarzan. That was good. Finding Dory. What'd you think of that?
I haven't seen it.
Did you take that yet?
I haven't seen it.
Well, you know what? In truth, you have because you've seen Finding Nemo. So it's pretty much. It's all right. It's cute. It's got some really neat messages, I think. I mean, Pixar is Pixar. They do things well. But it's a sequel, and that's kind of what you should think, I think, when you go and see it, and you'll realize, wow, it was good, but Pets is terrible. I hated it.
Oh.
It just was like, yeah, it's a great cast, great concept, and then there just was no story, and it felt like you had a bunch of people in the room, and they were just like, let's have this happen. And they're like, all right, sounds great. Okay, all right, and now what? Well, what about this? Let's do that. And it was just like, everybody was like, that sounds great. And they just threw all this stuff together, and then all of a sudden the movie's over, and you're kind of like, well, okay, I guess it had a resolution. I don't know sort of where this all went and why it all happened, but okay. And it just was really sloppy, I felt like. And there were moments where I was laughing, hysterically at stupid, slapsticky kind of humor, but not strong.
That sucks.
It is, because Despicable Me was so good, and Despicable Me 2 was good. And they haven't done anything really since. Minions was bad, this one's bad. So hopefully they'll get it together. Is that the same company that does the Ice Age movies, or no? Are they different? I don't know either.
No, because I think Ice Age is sky blue, and I think this one's like
Illumination. Yeah, Illumination. Yeah. So I don't know. Definitely not Pixar level. Pixar is they just know how to tell good stories, really good stories. So I'm looking forward to more. Looking forward to the new Disney one with the Hawaiian guy, the Maui guy, looks really cool too. That looks pretty good. And I saw Tarzan. That was all right. It was better than I thought it would be. So I think that's worth going to. It's probably, I think James could see that one. I don't think it's not too graphic. There's some sort of innuendo things in there that I don't know if they'd fly over his head or not. But I don't know if he would pick up on them, or if they're that bad, even if he did.
Yeah.
So, but it was an interesting way to tell that story again. I liked it.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I think that about wraps it up for us. Squeezing in a summer episode.
Right. We'll have to get back together soon, because I know Ghostbusters is coming out. Suicide Squad's coming the next thing you know it. So, we'll definitely get one in, before, too long before that, after that comes out. But maybe even before that comes out, after we've seen a couple of these summer blockbusters that have come around the corner.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Don't forget to check us out on Nerd Locker and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff. Jason, what do we say?
Have a nerdy week, everybody.
Bye.